Alrighty, guys, welcome to the show. Welcome, guys. We got a really good show for everybody today. We got talking about Dr. Fauci. He's back in the news again. I thought this guy was done with political crap, right? I thought he was done with political crap, but he's back in the news specter, so to speak. And there was a heated exchange between him and Ron Paul, which we do have the clip here. We'll plug in momentarily, guys. But today's show, welcome to Savaged Unfiltered. That's right, guys. We are rebranding our show into a better fit name. It fits the damn, if you ask me. I got the Rant here on standby, and Jimmy the Rant is going to comment on this, and I also want to how he did with Tommy Nation. Always questioning that show because Tommy's like myself. He's a Pitbull in the business, guys. But welcome to today's show. Welcome, guys.
Savaged Unfiltered.
Joining me now is Dr. Anthony of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Advisor to the President. Dr. Fauci, thank you for being here with us tonight.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Now, first up, CDC data shows cases are rising, especially here in the D.C. area. A lot of these local governments are saying they need more help from the federal government. They need more vaccines. So what is the federal government's plan of attack here?
Well, as you probably know, that yesterday the announcement was made that there will be a coordinator at the level of the White House, Mr. Bob Fenton, who is a FEMA administrator, very successful. The implementation of vaccines in an equitable manner for COVID. He's going to be the coordinator from the White House. The deputy coordinator will be Dimitri Deskalakis, who's a very well-respected physician, disease expert, who used to be in the Department of Health, who is now at the CDC, who has very, very extensive experience and credibility, particularly the gay community, in diseases, to make sure that an all of government response really goes smoothly in getting the vaccines in an expeditious manner for those who need it, including those of us here in D.C. So I would expect that addition to the all of government response that the president made yesterday is going to have an important impact on getting things done in an expeditious manner.
Yeah, on the same note, Dr. Fauci, we know this is not...
What the hell is this? Turn this shit off. Turn it off. Turn it off. I'm going to get Jimmy here in a moment here on the show. But, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Why are they pushing this? It's their baby. They're pushing it like they're trying to push COVID. Let's get Jimmy the Rant on the show. Jimmy, welcome, buddy. How are you doing? What's your comments here on this show here, bud?
Hey, first I wanted to say what's up, everyone. Thanks for having me back on. I know we didn't do our usual Tuesday, but I know everybody's been pretty busy with life, just trying to enjoy the weather, moving, not moving, working, not working, all types of good stuff. So glad to be back on. As far as
glad to have you back on, yeah.
Well, it's like every time we turn around now, there's a new shot for something different. So when we look at, and I look at my age bracket, right? When I think about when I was born back in the 80s, and I look at, let's say, my immunization card, there was maybe a total of 12 to 15 shots on there. Now, when you look at the immunization cards for babies nowadays, you've got almost 40, 50 shots from the ages of from newborn to the ages of 5 years old. So the cult of inoculations and vaccines has grown, and they've been pushing more and more and more vaccines on us. And not related to COVID, not related to anything else. I truly believe that with the rise of vaccines, there's been a rise of autism as well. That's just me. I've spoken to a lot of people. They're told by the professionals that it's the environment, that things are changing. But from what I'm looking at, from some of the research that I've done, as much as I can, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm speaking on just personal research that I've done. The correlation between, more vaccines, more inoculations has caused, a rise in autism and developmental defects and disabilities. So I don't trust anyone. I don't trust these guys like this as much, and especially Fauci. I mean, how could you really trust Fauci? He's been on the side of big pharma since the AIDS epidemic in the 80s.
Yeah, we all see that. I mean, that was very, very severe in the 80s. It introduced fear of people. I mean, he had people so worried, Jimmy, that they weren't even going to bars and nightclubs because they thought they were going to contract AIDS or something. I mean, when is people going to wake up, Jimmy? When are they going to wake up and understand? This is nothing but fear mongering, but on a political.
Well, yeah. So let's use AIDS for example. Okay. Him at the time, he was the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, 1984. So he came out with a video talking about cases may rise with like casual contact between children and adults. So he went, against the science, and made a generalized statement saying that, well, now maybe general contact, maybe sitting on a fucking toilet seat or whatever, which drove fear through the roof. And then when you got Fauci, you got the fact that he, rallied against using certain types of low cost treatments and focused on a very high cost treatment, which is basically what he did with COVID. So he focused primarily on highly profitable vaccines, and he's been ignoring safe and effective treatments from outside the the medical community. So
well, Jimmy, let me step in. Yeah, let me step in here if I may. Did you hear the latest now? You're talking about the 80s, the HIV pandemic that Fauci had a huge influence. Now, Fauci and his team there, DC, is now considering, folks, and I'm going to say this. You can check it out. You can Google it if you want. Okay? This is actually true. That they put a statement out, and the Washington Post was I think one of the first. Yes, they were. They were the first network to pick this up and publish it on their network and also their newspaper. They are considering, Jimmy, that they want to consider fewer sexual partners to avoid monkeypox. Can you believe that?
No, I can absolutely believe
Jimmy,
it.
this is not as severe, but this is not as severe as what they want it to be. They're trying to push it to be like next, COVID crap. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was trying to build up to, right? So you have a guy who has been for the last 30, 40 years in the spotlight for some pandemics, right? And fear mongering is something that he's no stranger to. And the point was going to the AIDS epidemic, pandemic, right? Is that he discouraged and prevented inexpensive treatments for AIDS, and he focused mostly on AZT, which was a highly profitable vaccine at the time for HIV. And we see the same thing with what he did for COVID. He totally disregarded the medical community behind ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and other treatments that we had readily available. And he was in support of a highly profitable mRNA vaccine, which is hot off the market, no clinical trials. Another thing you see with Fauci is his contradiction where, he was just being interviewed and he said, lockdowns, I had nothing to do with lockdowns. All I did was make some suggestions.
Bullshit.
I had nothing to do with it.
Bullshit. He had everything to do with those damn lockdowns, Jimmy. I mean, come on.
And then you look back and you see the video where he's like, and I told the president we needed to do lockdowns to defeat the curve. So there's one, and you have numerous with this guy. You have right at the beginning of the pandemic, he went on TV to tell you that masks were novelty items, that they weren't going to help you, that it was because people felt better wearing a mask. And, and then a year later, he's telling you that if you wear a mask and the other person wears a mask, the chances of spreading it is going down. Now the mask became a big thing. So the fact that, he doesn't want to take accountability or responsibility for anything that he said shows you the kind of person and coward that he is, because he has affected a lot of people, whether he directly or inadvertently. So
yeah, but what's the next thing that's going to happen? What are they going to? They're going to bring in the condom scenario, Jimmy? Are they going to bring in condom? Are they going to say, oh, we have to start buying condoms now because everybody could be at high risk? They're going to use that high risk political term for this thing. You should consider safe sex, even though your partner may not look like they are signs of monkeypox, but just for precaution. That's the next fear mongering, Jimmy. I'm telling you right now, every governor is going to jump on board with this thing. Oh, yes, we have to oversupply the condom products in all stores. Walmart, get it out there. Everybody has to start buying condoms like they had the toilet paper 2 years. I'm telling you, Jimmy, it's getting a little far-fetched. Jimmy, I want to talk about this thing. Everybody wants to know just what the hell monkeypox is. But go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. Monkeypox does look scary, though. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit and say I don't think that it's an issue. I just don't think. I don't like.
Well, it's the same.
I don't like
thing we see with the COVID, though.
No, yeah. I don't like the way the news is reporting on it somewhat. Listen, it's something, if you can get it from sweat or you can get it passed that way, if there's a risk of it being passed that way, it shouldn't be spotlighted. It shouldn't be spotlighted as a gay. Maybe the numbers are higher in the gay community, but I will say it shouldn't be spotlighted as this is something that only the gay community deals with. There's all type when it comes to sex.
I know. I did hear Fauci say about the gay community.
Yeah. So this is basically almost a replay of how AIDS, similar to how the AIDS virus was portrayed in the media, with there being a backlash towards gay people. Listen, it's not anyone's fault. It's a sickness out there, and it's not. Maybe it's spreading higher in the gay community. So it is what it is. But fucking, if you're at the gym, wipe down your machine before you get on there. Wash your hands. I would recommend all of that. And just like you were saying with the condoms, listen, safe sex, practice it. Guys, practice.
Yeah, but I
sex.
mean, is it something where we have to go on like we do? They're going to lock down the gyms. Are they going to lock down the beaches? Are they going to say, oh no, you can't? I mean, Jimmy, it's getting a little neurotic. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a little, extreme here on the show. He has given me a nickname on the show, which I think I deserve to have, the Pitbull. I'm not being the Pitbull, which I probably most likely am. Jimmy probably, you're the fucking Pitbull, Mike. But, I don't think we need to get to that avenue again, Jimmy. I mean, look what COVID did. It destroyed businesses. It damn near bankrupt small businesses. What do you think this thing's going to do? There are a lot of small gyms out there in this country, the chain gyms. You mentioned gyms, right? Wipe down the machines, wipe down the equipment. Beaches. People love going to beaches. What do you think they're going to do with this thing? And it's what if the next pandemic right before the midterms, huh?
Well, as we get closer to midterms, obviously you're going to see all types of pandemics and all types of bullshit, right? You see that with the January 6th commission, right off the rip. As far as I know, New York City just labeled monkeypox as an outbreak, right? As a medical emergency. I would say this. In a case like this, the only thing I think the government should be doing is, if there is funds going out there, to go towards the clinics, to go towards, obviously treatments and getting information out, right? Because that's their job. They're supposed to be a representative. They have these branches of the government and these branches of the medical community. Should there be lockdowns? Absolutely not. We've already seen what happened. Lockdowns do not stop anything. People are still getting COVID.
They don't work. They don't work. They're a lot worse. Jimmy, I want to touch on this here. I want to allow our listeners here on the show, to just understand, what monkeypox is being considered as and what's considered as. Major health organizations, okay? Not the CDC, but other health are labeling, Jimmy, not a traditional sexual transmitted disease. They're not labeling it, and they're not literally bringing it to avenue. There's not a traditional transmitted disease because it primarily spreads close contact with lacerations, meaning that, yes, if you're close to somebody with a cut, maybe, but you really can't get it through other, such as just a regular cut, maybe, in such. I'm trying to use layman's terms so people can understand. But right now, the global data suggests skin-to-skin contact during sex is really fueling the outbreak, but it's not your sexual transmitted disease, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's fear mongering. Listen, when you watch mainstream media coverage, let's face it, there's tons of fear mongering there. You don't even see anything positive on the news anymore. It is a tool of propaganda. It is MK Ultra. When you look up, if you want to research what MK Ultra is, it is your TV and it is now your phone. It is a device that is streaming content to you all day and misinformation to you all day, to get you worried, to play on your emotions. I mean, right now, it's known, there's studies that mental health issues are taking place because people are addicted to their phones, addicted to TikTok, addicted to video games. So, it's a great tool to use when you really think about it, right? If they're going to get the word out, they're going to pound you all day with this type of hysteria, a hysterical type of news to play on your emotions. It's the same thing happened with AIDS. They're telling you, close contact. And I'm telling you from personal experience. My father passed away from AIDS. My father had HIV in the 80s. He passed away when I was when I was 3 or 4.
Go out to your family. I'm so sorry.
That's all right, man. He made decisions in life, and he contracted it through drug use. And, when I was maybe 3 or 4, he passed away. But in those 4 years, I do have some memories, and my mother used to tell me about it, where, you know, people didn't want me over the house. They didn't care. Like, it was because of the hysteria that was already being portrayed in the media. People didn't want me playing with their kids because, you know, you had things like that. And unfortunately, when you have something like this where people don't know much about it, instead of us taking a step back and thinking more rationally about it, then you have somebody like this coming on the news going, yeah, maybe through casual touching. And that's a scary thing to hear. If I said to you, you may catch something from sitting on a toilet that I sat on, you might be, you know, packing the toilet seat with mounds of
Jimmy, you understand what I mean by, I mean, you're a little tired of, you know, Big Brother and, you know, the CDC trying to maybe use the words dictate or just orchestrate these. I mean, Jimmy, I mean, I don't know about you, yes, man. I think I know how to stay away from terminally ill people, people that have cuts on their arms, people that are coughing, sneezing. You know, I think I know that. You know what I mean? That too. And I think the whole country knows how to. But should we use precaution? Sure.
It's like herpes supreme. It's like herpes XL is monkeypox.
Right.
I've seen the video. It looks fucking brutal. I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Oh,
but,
the fear videos are already out there on YouTube and social media. They're literally having fun, you know, creating the fear like they did with COVID. You know, they love creating the fear. They're going to make this a whole political agenda here, right in time for the midterms. You know, they're going to try to literally use this now, Jimmy. And sadly, they're going to use this monkeypox for the midterms. They know that they have a huge limit to them with the midterms, and this is their next machine, their next weapon. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you could look at the amount of people that are vaccinated too. That you have, you know, out of nowhere, sudden adult death syndrome has skyrocketed. Right, people who were otherwise normally healthy, suffering from myocarditis or suffering from blood clots and heart disease. So, you know, people are worried out there. People are feeling the burn, Mike, and they're worried that there may be another round of vaccines that are going to be pushed on the people. And, you know, what I would say is people need to, you got to wake up. Stop trading in your civil liberty. Stop trading in your freedom for a false sense of security. Big Brother cannot protect you, and their intent is not to protect you. Their intent is not to protect you. Trust me, they only care about you when you're able to work still and pay your taxes. You're old enough to vote.
Oh yeah, they need that. They need that to come in.
They only care about you when you're those three things. They need that to come in.
But I went to this thing here with DeSantis. What you know, America's is literally referring to on this topic, and a lot of people are saying, you know, would Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, consider down for his state of Florida with this monkeypox? Now, DeSantis is saying this, Jimmy, and I just want to get into this quick bit here because I'm going to take a quick break. But DeSantis is saying that he wants fellow citizens of his state to get facts and not fear. Okay, let me repeat that again for all the listeners out there. Okay, let's learn from COVID. Let's look at the facts. Let's not listen to the fear. There's a lot of fear coming out of this. Okay, a lot of people. You know, Jimmy mentioned the gym, right? People, you know, might not want to go to the gym because, you know, sweat, right? Jimmy mentioned sweat. It could come from sweat. It could come from going on the beach and, you know, possibly on a Band-Aid or something. You know, that's disgusting, but I mean, it happens. But DeSantis is saying that he will not declare a emergency over monkeypox. He's not declaring it. He says he doesn't want to do it, Jimmy.
Well, Florida, I think that a lot of red states really shown what they were capable of during COVID. I mean, Florida stayed open. There was no issues. I spoke to many people that lived in Florida. I don't know many people that, got really sick or part of the hysteria. It was business as usual down there. And let's face it, the coincidence that COVID hit its peak, coming into the elections and really changing that dynamic, it shows a lot. It shows a lot because then it cooled down after the election, right? So, I'm happy with a lot of the decisions that DeSantis has made as a governor. I wish that more governors would have the fortitude to step up and do it like him. But we don't have that. I mean, the states are supposed to this republic was designed for states to run independently, and the federal government was only good for two things: collecting taxes and
guns. They're supposed to run, accurately, right? That's why we have governors are supposed to govern states, right? Some do, some don't. But I can say, I'm Governor DeSantis. I wish I would see a lot more governors following his lead. The great Ivy, she's representing her state in Alabama, doing a tremendous job. And other governors, just to name a few. But like DeSantis said just the other day, he had that he had just locally in Central Florida, actually right on the east coast of it, a little beach town called Cocoa Beach, Florida. And at his rally 2 days ago, Ron DeSantis said, "An increasing vaccine to the community." Okay, what will it do? Well, will it make people the vaccine even more for COVID, or will it drive people into more confusion? And as your governor of the state of Florida, I see a decision to not lock down my state with only cases right now. Kind of going into the show. I'm not going word for word. Basically he's saying, with cases only reaching about 500 Florida, he does not see significant cause to literally sound the alarm for a state of emergency. For 500 cases. I don't know how many cases you're at in New Jersey, Jim. 100. I don't know, Jim. Do you think lock down the state of their cases? I really don't think so.
I don't think
if you break down the county wise, it's like maybe one or two people each county, Well,
I don't think they can actually justify shutting anything down. I think when you declare a state of emergency, the idea of that is to be able to release funds and certain executive orders in regards to that emergency. Now, I don't know how many there are by me, but we know that with numbers, it's like, can you really trust those numbers? We've seen with COVID, those numbers were skewed. Can you really believe them? Just like all the reports when Elmhurst Hospital in Queens, right? Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe they, the news did a big segment there, right? Like, they had to rent refrigerated trailers for all the bodies, and then the exact next day, an independent journalist went there. There was no line. It was a fucking ghost town. He had a conversation with some of the people that worked there. They said that the morgue wasn't filled up, that they just rented those refrigerated trucks. So, I mean, again, it's like what you said. And to DeSantis' point, he said it in his speech too. He said, Floridians need to know key facts such as when they should get tested, at what point they're contagious, and how long they need to quarantine if infected. And that's what the focus should be on. The focus should be on, there's something out here. Here's the facts behind it. Look out for it. All right. Here's some ways to avoid it. and move on with your life, right? I mean, if we see everybody walking around with blisters on their mouth, then we know there's an issue. And that was the same thing I said with COVID. If you start seeing people dropping dead on the street,
I mean,
you see bodies,
Jimmy, it's tense. I mean, like you said, if you see somebody with fucking bam heels or feet walking on the beach, not to walk in that direction. Common sense, Jimmy. Common sense. But a lot of people don't know common sense. A lot of people need government to explain every detail to them. And that's a very, very disturbing society that we live in. We live in a society where everything is needed to be. Okay? And that's sad. That's sad. But, you mentioned with these states. I want to say one thing here before I get a quick break in, because I got to break in. We're about 30 minutes into the show. But, you see some of these states declaring states of emergency, right? Are the ones that are going to use the emergency powers, Jimmy, to restrict your freedom. Those are the ones that are going to go back to the COVID era of doing that. They're going to lock it down just to lock it down because they're the almighty governor or mayor and they have that power to do so. And I think that this pandemic, epidemic, Plan-Demic, however the hell you want to call it, I think it needs to be looked at as responsible decision. I don't know about you, but the intake that should be done.
Well, I think the major areas there should be more concern. So New York City having a major concern about monkeypox makes 100%. See, that makes sense to me. The same as anywhere they have a large homeless population. You want to have that kind of, you want to declare an emergency, declare it in that city, and give the funds to that city and set stuff up for that city where you have a large homeless population that will probably help spread it because they don't give a fuck. They have blisters on their face anyway. They can care less.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, the decisions, the public
regulation.
Yeah, the public health decisions, Jimmy, should be based on facts, not
Absolutely.
fear. And
absolutely,
that's my analysis on it.
Absolutely.
Guys, we got a quick break in here. Jimmy, hold that thought, buddy. We gotta get a quick break in. We'll be back after these words. Don't go anywhere. Myself, Michael. I got Jimmy on the show. Savaged Unfiltered. Back after these words.
Around the Hulu Motel and you start to realize everybody's into something.
Can't you see he's such a boss?
There are those whose theories have theories.
It's obviously the cat guy. It's always the cat guy.
Others live to chase the thrill. But no matter what you're into, Hulu has it all. No questions asked. 'Cause hey, who am I to judge?
Huzzah.
All right, guys, we're back here on the show of shows. We're talking about, monkeypox. We're talking about Dr. Fauci. I got a clip I want to plug in here just momentarily, but I want to get Jimmy's insights here. What we should do now. Maybe do something a little different. Should we do something a little different, Jimmy, than we did COVID? Is lockdowns necessary?
A little.
Instead of putting mask face, but huh?
No, I was saying a little differently. No, we should be doing things completely the opposite of what COVID was. Again.
Well, you know what I mean. I mean, that's what's going to happen, when somebody asks you, well, should we do something a little differently? No, we should do something a lot differently, Jimmy says. Yeah.
Listen, people have given up a lot for COVID, okay? There's, the government pressured corporations, which go hand in hand, which is bullshit, to enforce regulations on whether or not you should get a job or not by being vaccinated for COVID. So, even though the government scaled back and said, well, we don't got to do anything, the damage was done. Companies are like, you got to be fully vaccinated. Okay, what about the labor side of your business? Well, they don't have to be vaccinated because we have a shortage. So what they've done is the damage has been done when it comes to the COVID regulations and COVID hysteria. There's people still out there wearing a mask. Your bullshit mask from China, folks, is not going to do anything. I'm sorry. Go speak to a professional.
I know. I see people. Yeah, I see time, Jimmy, with the masks on their face. I'm looking at them and I'm like, I really want to say something, Jimmy, but I'm being respectful. I'm like, do you think that mask is actually working?
Well, you know what?
I don't care what is behind it.
There is no science behind it. Don't even talk to them about it because they're already too far gone, and they are in a coma at this point.
No, they're going to say, yeah, Jimmy, they're going to say the science that there's videos shown with a mask and with a mask that they show X-ray vision with people breathing without the mask and people breathing with the mask. I was like, do you know how easy it is to manipulate with CGI technology? I mean, come on.
But regardless of that, all I mean is, again, we're here for a very short time. We're not here for a long time. Do you want to spend 20, 30 years wearing a mask? Do you want to spend 20, 30 years every fucking week getting a vaccine? I'm not saying that these things don't exist. I'm not saying that COVID is not real. Don't get that confused, okay? Because I had COVID back in December, and it kicked my ass. So I don't want to have people confused. I don't want independent fact checkers all over what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is, do the research on your own.
You know that, Jimmy.
Do the research on your own. Get the facts and go forward from there. If you're going to live your life in fear, there's no point of living. Stay in your house, retire early, whatever. Go fucking live in a community by yourself because you're not going to be safe from molecules and droplets. Those things are all over the place. I have a kid in daycare. He brings home the plague every week. He's got a stuffy nose and he gives it to us. That's life. You have an immunity. Your body is is made to deal with. Your body is made to deal with certain things. Okay. Well, if you put hand sanitizer all day,
here's the thing, Jimmy.
Taking off the good bacteria. Yeah. Think about it.
Well, here's the thing, Jimmy. With all due respect, I mean, you're a father, right? We as parents, I have a 15 years old. I don't have small children, but when I did have a child, when she was younger, Jimmy, as a parent constantly gave her Robitussin and Tylenol and this and that. Hell no, I did not, Jimmy. You know why? Because you're supposed, as a parent, let that child build up their immune system. If they great. Hold on. Great, Mike. Why is that great? You're gonna understand what I mean this, okay? Hold the phone, folks, for a minute. If the child gets a cold, a sniffle, a little cough, a little, that's great. You want them, and by the time they get to be our age, their immune system is like super high. The more drugs you put in, the more it's going to affect life. I mean, it's true.
Well, you could look at the way doctors
people don't.
You could look at the way that most physicians dealt with things for a long time. You go in saying, "Hey, I'm sick." They're giving you antibiotics. How do they know you don't have a viral infection? We know that viral infection antibiotics are useless, right? They work against bacteria infections. So you have a perfect setup here for that community to be able to manipulate most of the population, because your general practitioner, your regular doctor, does not do research. His research years were ended the day that he finished his clinicals or whatever medical the day that he became a full-blown doctor. I don't know the exact words to say, right? the day that he became a full-blown doctor, guess what? He doesn't do research anymore. If he opens up a practice, he works out of that practice, and on his best knowledge, or on his best guess, he's going to prescribe you something based off your, your ailment or your symptoms. And so when you have your doctor telling you, oh, well, we have to do this, we have to do that, that's because a memo came from the CDC, a memo came from the state of New Jersey or your state that you live in. It came from your government telling them how they should handle it. They don't do research. I'm not saying that doctors out there, there's not doctors out there doing that. Please, I don't want to, again, but they're not doing the research. Your general doctors, he's reading a memo and he's going, well, this is what we got to do. And that was the same thing with all the doctors. And hold on, Mike, before you cut me off, the same thing happened here in New Jersey. Okay, you go to your doctor and they said with COVID, and they said, there's nothing we can do for you. And I said, what about hydroxychloroquine? What about ivermectin? What about those things that there's proven data on that it's helping? And they said, well, we can't do anything for you. You got to ride out. We can't prescribe you anything. So again, that is the framework of Dr. Fauci. He spoke out against those things and said they were bullshit. Okay. And a lot of people had to write out some sickness when we had stuff that could have helped. We had stuff, mononuclear antibodies. People weren't getting those. People weren't getting the medicine.
Well, they had. Didn't they have that medicine that Trump was taking? They didn't want it. They didn't want to go with that medicine that Trump had taken when he did experience COVID.
That's hydroxychloroquine. That's hydroxychloroquine.
I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
They didn't want to push. There you go. Yeah. They didn't want to. Yeah.
No, but
yeah, they didn't.
Again,
they didn't
you had treatments.
They didn't want to.
Available. But because you had Fauci. He spoke out against those.
How come they didn't want to push that, Jimmy?
Because they had these new fucking mRNA vaccines hot off the market. They made billions. The medical industry the pharmaceutical industry made fucking billions of dollars off of this. So you mean to tell me that they had readily available treatments? Why wouldn't they downplay it? If I had something, it's like Mike, it's like me telling you, listen, Tylenol works against the headache. And somebody goes, Mike, don't listen to him. It doesn't work in this case, but I got this new fucking pill that I just made. This is going to work. Okay, cool. What's it going to cost us? Well, it's not going to cost. It's not going to cost you directly, but it's going to cost the government X amount of dollars, and it's going to make me rich. But don't take Tylenol though, because I'm telling you, it's not going to work. And that's exactly what happened. Oh, well, maybe not in that degree. I'm just using a made up situation. But yeah, you have readily available treatments. Okay, my friend's mother was fucking sick, man. They didn't know what was gonna happen to her. She couldn't breathe. She was messed up really bad. And my friend's father, he's an awesome dude. And you know what he did? He went out. He got his wife oxygen, but he got her a prescription. He spoke to a fucking Republican doctor. Okay, he spoke to somebody that was like,
they exist.
Well, this guy kind of like advertised himself as that, whatever. He spoke to this doctor, and said, "What do you got for me?" He goes, "I'm gonna give you hydroxychloroquine. She's gonna go on it for 5 days. On day 2, she was walking around again. Okay,
oh, wow.
I mean, listen, she had to recover still, but what I'm saying was she was sliding deep down into a fucking hole, man. And the same thing happened with a buddy from mine from work. Okay, and I don't want to go into much detail because that's personal life, but his wife, his wife has to be careful about getting sick. I'll say it like that. And she got very sick from COVID and had to go to the hospital. And he was like, "Listen, I don't want my wife to die. I want this medicine administered to her. I want this medicine administered." And they fought him, and he had it administered. And guess what? She made a recovery. So
that's awesome.
And they were ready to put her on a ventilator, and we all know what happened, folks. We all know what happened.
Yeah, they were ready to put her on the ventilator because that was what they wanted to do, and I'm glad that they didn't, Jimmy. And there was options. There was options. You know, if there was more options that people seen through COVID, I think there would be a lot more lives still on this planet. You know, because, you know, when this whole COVID thing went out, the whole outbreak, whatever, you know, it basically slimmed the options. About options right now, you know, you're talking about, you know, your family with, you know, your friend and the, you know, the ventilator and everything else. That was an option, right? Why couldn't there be more options involved? I know why, because they didn't want to go that route. They didn't want to do that. They wanted, Jimmy, what happened during these last 2.5 years with COVID was very sad, very sad. Now I want to get into Jimmy, if you don't mind, you know, with Ron Paul and Fauci. Literally, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching it and paying attention to other congressmen, you know, during this whole thing, but I mean, been literally battling each other out like if we were playing the fucking battleship. I mean, check this.
Chairman, I hope America is listening today. And to our witnesses, let me say welcome, and I regret that none of you were able to get into the Kansas State University biochemistry program, but I certainly appreciate your credentials that are all here today. I think it's important to not only identify the true problem, but also talk about where we've been, and you all can help us fill into some of the pieces here when we talk about gain-of-function research. It was late in 2011 when the NSABB, which is the NIH's advisory board, stopped 2 scientists from publishing an influenza gain-of-function study that I believe Dr. Ebright was referring to. And they stopped it because they were afraid it could educate bioterrorists. So this is 2011. Over a decade ago, scientists had figured out how to make H5N1, which is highly pathogenic avian influenza contagion.
Yeah, more data functioning. You know, I know that wasn't Ron Paul. I mentioned Ron Paul. Ron Paul was in attendance during that hearing. Yeah, he was in attendance in that hearing, which if you look at the full video, which was just a clip that we did in, here for the show, I wanted to freeze on that one particular clip during that hearing, which it was just the other day. It was yesterday, actually. They were grilling the CDC on options that we were just referring to, right into what we're just talking about now. You know, the data functioning, the options, right? Jimmy, why wasn't options being played out during this last pandemic? Plan-Demic. I call it Plan-Demic. That's basically what it was. You know, why wasn't the options rolled out on the table and said, this is what needs to be done? This is what needs to be done.
Well, yeah, that was not a clip of Rand Paul. Sorry, folks, but and Ron Paul is the father.
If you look closely, he is in that video. Yeah. I wanted to say I should have said Ron Paul and company because he was actually sitting like 2 rows behind that gentleman. If you look at the full video, I know Breitbart has it still on theirs. I know CNN probably fucking took it down, but anyway,
you might be mixing them up too. It's actually Rand. The father's Ron. So the current
Rand, yeah. I did
current,
say Rand, did I? Or Ron,
Ron.
Yeah.
It's all right. So I used to
Ron,
make that mistake all the time too. I thought it was like Ron Jr. at once, but
yeah.
Well,
it's the accent too. You know, even though I don't live in New York anymore, it's the accent's still there. So I think I did. Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. Fucking Jim corrected me.
Rand Paul and his father Ron Paul have always been big advocates and have spoken out a lot throughout their years in government, and they've always set the precedents. Well, I mean, he went on. I know there was a thing where he went on and spoke about that some of the stuff that went on was misleading and a lie in regards to Fauci. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. All right, guys. What you're hearing here is the voice of the Savaged Unfiltered podcast here, Jimmy the Rant, giving his insights here on the show. Guys, before we get any further here, I do want to get a quick break in here for a sponsor here that's been sponsoring the show for the last couple of months here. Live Rishi, guys. Love them. If you head over to liverishi.com, use the promo code for 20% off. That promo code, guys, Savaged Unfiltered. You're going to get 20% off Live Rishi, all Live Rishi products. They are a phenomenal organic CBD oil hemp company. Liverishi.com. I've used it. I'm a member of it, and they sponsor the show. Tremendous, tremendous company. Head over to liverishi.com. Mention you heard it on Savage Unfiltered with Michael Gardner, and hit that promo code for 20% off. Savaged Unfiltered, and you're gonna love their products. Phenomenal. I'm
back.
Jimmy, you there? Okay, you're back. I knew you had the kids and everything, so I went into a quick little sponsor bit through Live Rishi. They've been sponsoring the show now for 3 months. And I hat tip to Live Rishi. I love them. But I do apologize, guys. I did say Ron. It's Ran. Sometimes I do want to say it's the accent, but it wasn't the accent this time. It was actually a correction. So Jimmy had to correct me on the show, but that is okay. So the myths and facts about this whole monkeypox scenario, Jimmy, as we close it up here, the myths and facts about spreading this thing. Okay. Do we know the myths and facts? I think I don't want to say we know it, Jimmy. I think we should go to the avenue of how to prevent it.
Well, I think it's all too new still. I think that, obviously we know that it's the facts that we do know, even though they're not calling it STD, it's very reminiscent of a sexually transmitted disease. We know that the numbers seem to be higher in the gay community with the rate of transmission and people infected by it. Again, not banging on the gay community though. Listen, same thing happened with HIV. I feel for you guys, girl, whatever. I feel for yous. I'll say it like a New Jersey guy, right? Because we know that things can be easily spread from one community to the next because that's just how it is. It's a virus, but I do know that it does start off as looking like pimples and develops into these types of sores or lesions on your hands and on your face. They say it's really painful. That's and I mean that's all I know for now. That's all I've seen. Online.
I see. Yeah, you're right. I see pictures of these things, and it almost looks like a like you said, a sore, but it looks like you know what it looks like, Jimmy. To my insights of it, it looks like almost as to tell the listeners what this looks like, because there are a lot of people that probably haven't even seen the imagery coming out yet because it's still fairly new. But it looks like a bad boil, like a boil. Like when you look at a boil and they're like ready to pop, and the ooze and the pus and the disgusting shit out. That's what it looks like. That's what it reminds me of, like a really bad boil. That's the best words to explain this thing, in my own opinion. A really bad looking boil that's about ready to pop, and the pus and the disgustedness.
It does look gross. I'll put it to you like this. Like I said, if I had a closing statement on it, is be careful who you sleep with. You see anything, practice safe sex. practice normal people shit. If you don't feel good, don't go to work. Don't spread things. Do the right thing. Take something when you're sick. Relax. You see a sore. Don't go to the gym and spread everything, and put your sweat on everything. Go get it checked out. That's it. Don't be scared, guys. You got an immune system, right?
Jimmy says, don't put your sweat on everything. I like that. Jimmy, you live in New Jersey, right? You could tell all your friends and folks there, right, as a comic saying it, guys, if you're going to hit city, don't go down Park Place at Broadway. Don't the hooker alley there in Atlantic City. Don't look for that hooker. If you see any hookers, walk the other way, because I'm sure some of them probably have the monkeypox,
They got all types of pox. I'd stay away from them too.
They got the pox you don't want, Yeah.
Yeah, you don't gotta worry about pox with them.
Yeah, definitely, right. Jimmy, what's going on with the with the podcast? Last talk to you got about a week and a half, right? 2 weeks you're aiming for?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up some equipment and minor stuff and start it off. So I'll probably, when I start my own podcast, we'll go back to just doing once a week and hitting mostly political, hitting current events and whatnot, and then kind of getting into it a little, snowballing into a couple days a week, kind of like what you do. Once I'm up and running, I'll let you know. I'll let all listeners know as well. And they can catch me out there.
So the name is definitely solid on your end. The decline of reason, right? That's what you're going for. Yeah.
Well, it was originally the Deadbeat Dad, and I had it as that. As this,
Deadbeat Dad.
You'd
have
like
a Family Guy episode.
Well, you'd have to listen to the couple episodes that I did make when I was running that podcast. There was a reason behind it, kind of poking fun at stuff. And then I decided to change it. There was another podcast out there with that name. Didn't want to confuse it.
Yeah, you don't want the copyright infringement. I get you.
Yeah, so had to switch it up a little bit. Did it usually with a buddy of mine, Frankie Metals. He does. He's a producer and he does podcasts too. So we used to. He was my my computer guy, my guy behind the scenes. He did all my editing and whatnot. And he was also cool. He also co-hosted on the show. He was there, so it was easier that way. A little bit of a dialogue.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome stuff, guys. Before we close it out here, I do want to make a couple announcements here on behalf of Jimmy here. I wish him the best of luck. I hope when Jimmy starts his show, the very first pilot episode, right? It's going to be the pilot. Now, Jimmy, make an official announcement on the show. Are you going with the pilot episode, or are you going as if you're relaunching your podcast, your show? How are you doing this? Is it a relaunch, or is it pretty much a new show?
No, I think it's gonna be. I guess maybe we'll go as a new show because we're rebranding the name, right? And then hopefully we're gonna get
rebranding, kind of like what we did with the with the show here. We went from single. It's not the second episode of Savaged Unfiltered. It's just because I had to get Jimmy. I'm sure you now understand, and the viewers understand why that the name had to be changed. I mean, some of the content that we have here on the show is not art, Jimmy. I mean, you and I, mainly me and you, we pretty much lay it down. Whether you like it or not. I mean, some of the moments that we've had on the show since I've had you on the show is very Savage-like. You know what I mean? I can't speak on that on Sauce because Sauce is more PG. More Christian than we are, more spiritual guy. But, you guys understand why we had to change the name. Patriot Angle, yeah, it fit 2.5 years, but Savaged Unfiltered, I think it serves a purpose.
No, it was a great move. Sometimes you have to rebrand as you grow as a person, and the podcast grows too. You want to make sure that you're going to hit a broader demographic too, where you're saying, listen, it's not all about, don't get confused by the name, right? So the good part is it'll bring in more people, because I think the Patriot movement got crushed. Let's face it, the Patriot movement was crushed because of January 6th. Most people are trying to get away from that stigma. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing or bad thing. I just know that, people are trying to get away from it. It is what it is, man. You got to do what you got to do.
Well, I could tell you right now, Jimmy, I'll admit, like, in earlier this year here, the following that I had a strong following coming from mainly central United States, North Dakota, South Dakota. There was a large amount of that following that I lost, due to not from us, but just due to the confusion. Jimmy mentioned the Patriot movement. There's a lot of people like leaving that because they're lost, Jimmy. They don't know what to believe. There was a lot of fucking fear mongering, man, going on. A lot of misinformation from both sides, the Democrats and Republicans, even conservatives out there. So yeah, I picked up some following, from other avenues, other platforms. But like you said, sometimes you need to rebrand. Sometimes you need to look at your approach, and you need your content at a stronger base. And I think that's the best way to do it. The best way to do it. But as we close it out here, Jimmy, I want to basically say thank you for being on the show. I think you've been on the show for 7-8 months now, if I'm counting.
Yeah, correctly. Maybe. Wow. Might have been that long.
I want to thank you. About 6 or 7 months. I think we put you in around episode 135. We're up to it's probably been longer than that, because we brought you on around 135, 140. We're up to, this will be episode 296, folks. We are 4 episodes shy from hitting that 300 mark. I just want to say thank you, Jimmy, for being part of this movement. Thank you for being part of the Patriot Angle podcast. And now thank you for being part of Savaged Unfiltered. And we hope, and I hope, that I could be part of your, and it would be a true honor to have myself on your pilot episode. I hope I'm not doing a self invitation, but it would be a true honor.
No, absolutely.
I'd like to see exactly.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be on Savage either. So I plan on staying here, and I plan on keeping that Tuesday slot, and we'll find a slot for you on mine, and we'll go from there. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, I just want to get in a couple more announcements here, guys. I'm going to close it out here. I got like 3, was it 3? Yeah, 3 or 4 major announcements here. There is a new lineup here on Savaged Unfiltered here. Tuesdays only, folks. Okay, we are going from a 4-day live stream event type of calendar that we were going on, and we're bringing it down to once a week, folks. The reason behind that is because I'm going to admit, you do lose a lot of listening base with that shuffle. There is a huge shuffle in that. And I've noticed that as a podcaster, I've noticed that as a content creator, and as a producer, folks. Yes, I am my own producer. We lost Eric just about a month and a half ago. Sadly, went to other avenues, other line of work. I wish him the best of luck with his work and what he does. He's a tremendous producer, and he's missed very dearly here on the show. I learned a lot from him in the time that I knew him. But guys, we're going to a once a week lineup, streaming live on Tuesdays with myself and Jimmy the Rant here on Savaged Unfiltered, streaming live on Twitch, our good friends at Twitch. Thank you very much for continuing to let us air our content on your platform. It's a true honor. You can also hear all those live episodes in its replay edition on Rumble, as well as Facebook. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, just Rumble and Facebook. Yeah. Our actual live stream platform is on Twitch, and you can follow us and like us at US Patriot Unfiltered on Twitch. The same handle. We kept it that way because that's what Twitch does, folks. They don't allow you to change your handle name for some strange, odd reason, but that's okay. But yes, you can hit us up on Twitch at US Patriot Unfiltered, and you'll see a lot of amazing content as well as Rumble. And we are now on TikTok. That's right, guys. Hit that like button, follow button on TikTok. We're almost up to 500 fucking followers on TikTok. I'm telling you, Jimmy, where to get the following, where to get the content exposure is on TikTok. I thought it was a joke. I heard this from my daughter about a month ago. Dad, you got to go on TikTok to bring your content on TikTok. I'm like, that's for kids. She was right, Jimmy. Been on TikTok for about a month, and the following is up to almost 500 followers. Tremendous. I'm telling you. Hit that like and follow button on TikTok at Savaged Unfiltered. And all the other episodes that you're hearing currently right now will be on Spotify as well as Google, Apple, and as well as Amazon Music and Amazon Alexa. That's right. We're on Alexa now. And just about everywhere you hear a podcast. What else? Oh, yes. We have a major announcement. 2 more major announcements, and then we're going to close it out here, guys. Next Tuesday, we have the confirmation. Next Tuesday will be Robert Ralph. Okay? He is a candidate running for Senator of Wisconsin. So hopefully we can call him Senator Ralph of Wisconsin. He will be joining the show this Tuesday on our live stream on Twitch. So Robert Ralph will be joining us. Got the confirmation from the email with myself and hopefully Jimmy, if you're available on Tuesday. It's going to be a good show. Damn good show. Really, really good show. He heard us actually from, I think it was, I got to look at the notation. Yes, he heard us actually on about a month ago when we were talking about socialism in the country with myself and Tommy Nation. And he was actually quite interested in wanting to pick your brain, Jimmy. So it's going to be a really, really good show, I think. I try to get the best of the best. It's hard because, even the big wig people, Jimmy, they have very, very, busy schedules as monks as you and I. So we did get the confirmation from Robert Ralph running for Senator of Wisconsin. It's going to be a good show. Really good show.
Absolutely. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too myself. And I didn't get the confirmation yet, but we're trying to get another podcaster from Innovative Network. That's the network that our good friends of Tommy Nation is on. It's a progressive leftist network, which they are. It's labeled that way. We're trying to get Jabari Vok podcast. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, Jimmy. Trying to get him here on the show. He did reach out to us saying that he did want to come on the show, and I don't agree with their narratives, but I always allow people the floor here on the show. So, like I said, it's not a confirmation yet, guys, but once I have that confirmation from Jabari Vok, which is the host of his show, we'll announce that on the show. Jimmy, it's been great, man. Any lasting comments or words here you want to say on the show?
I would just say stay tuned. Next Tuesday should be a good show, especially bringing on new people and having a chance to speak with them. Great opportunity. And, let's hear from you. Let's hear from the people listening. If you guys have anything, comment, send us a message. Let us know, how we're doing, and let Mike know, what you're looking to hear, and we'll make it happen. Well, I don't want to say
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
No, I don't want to make promises for your show, Mike. Sorry, but just saying.
Oh, no, it's okay. You know, sometimes even if I do make promises on my show, sometimes it bites me in my ass, you know, because, you know, I'm like, fuck, I said it. Now I gotta do it. But, you know, I get it. I get it, guys. And also, too, lasting announcement here. I just forgot. I had it on notation here next to the computer and everything. There is a new website, guys. We are in the midst of doing another website. We had taken down the old website that is in connection with Wix. Didn't like Wix. Didn't stand out. It was great in the beginning, but it just didn't stand out. I'm a type of person that I'm always evolving and I'm always improving. Whether it's on the show or through social media. So we are in the midst I want to say, not an early production, but probably in the middle production phase of this new website with the great makers of Squarespace. Anybody uses Squarespace for the website, highly recommend it. It's an awesome website builder. There's a little bill on the freight, starts off at $12 a month. But it's well worth it, guys. Like I said, we're in the middle of this phase for this website. Published, which I don't know because there is a lot of sections that I've been looking on the website and through Squarespace that I would like to add into this new website. But I can tell you it's of production right now. Almost done. I got some little, you know, nicks and crannies I want to throw in there, but it's going to be really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Jimmy, it's been an honor, man. Always an honor talking to you. You're full of knowledge, and thank you.
Absolutely. Until next week.
Yeah. Until the next Tuesday, guys. I am Michael Gardner, and this is Jimmy the Rant. Joining us from New Jersey. It's been a great night, guys. We'll see you this upcoming Tuesday with myself, Jimmy, and I'm just going to say it, hopefully, Senator Robert Ralph of the great state of Wisconsin. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you Tuesday.